All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. We have an exciting video. If you were paying any attention to the stock market this week, then you know Brooklyn Immuno Therapeutics has skyrocketed. So stick around as Michael details what's to come in this awesome trending traders video covering stock ticker BTX.
That's right. Shane and I are talking Brooklyn Immunotherapeutics today. He's going to talk a little bit about some fundamentals and their small pipeline. I'm going to tell you a little bit about wide short squeezing and give you an example of a trade that I did during the short squeeze to make a nice profit.
No. This video is not about cleverly marketed trivia games. However, NTN Buzz Time has played its part in bringing Brooklyn Immuno Therapeutics to the public market. If you're like a lot of traders right now, you're likely wondering why stock ticker BTX has gone to the moon considering it just went public March 26, 2021. Before we explain this lunar landing, let me bring you back a few. Brooklyn Immuno Therapeutics LLC, a private company, purchased BuzzTime, a publicly traded company, in a process known as a reverse merger. Essentially, the point of this is to buy a dying company so you can take your private business public while circumventing the headache of an IPO. When the merge commenced on the 26th, all stocks began trading under the new BTX ticker. Brooklyn Therapeutics LLC employees own 96% of the common stock, while former BuzzTime employees own the remainder at this point. In pretty typical fashion, the reverse merger was followed by a reverse 1-for-2 split. There are a lot of reasons a company might do this, but it is often a signal of distress. Both the reverse merger and the reverse split are big factors as to why we saw this stock skyrocket. Michael will touch on this a bit further. So what is Brooklyn Immunotherapeutics? According to their website, they are a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company. The primary drug that Brooklyn is exploring targets and helps the body destroy tumors associated with head and neck cancer. Sounds really promising, right? Think again. When digging a little further into Brooklyn, you'll discover their pipeline for clinical drugs only includes the IRX2 agent and nothing else yet. Did Brooklyn Immunotherapeutics research scientists develop this miraculous technology? No. This was an acquisition of another company's hard work. Although this practice of purchasing a biopharmaceutical company, along with their pipeline of drugs, is not all too uncommon, I do find it suspicious that the small number of employees are seemingly not research scientists in the lab. I say this because technically, Brooklyn has not developed any of their own drugs, nor does it seem they have anything else being researched in-house, as their trials are currently run by NIH-supported principal investigators at universities. With all that being said, I am impressed with the recent licensing opportunity acquired exclusively by Brooklyn. This agreement with Factor Bioscience Limited and Novellus Therapeutics allows Brooklyn to utilize a highly patented process to develop gene editing compounds using mRNA. This is the same type of powerful technology being utilized in the fight against COVID. This technology will be used to research preclinical drugs fighting against inherited monogenic diseases like sickle cell anemia, along with fighting against solid and liquid form tumors. Brooklyn has big plans, but don't expect to see a new drug in the investigational stage until 2024.
So the question everyone came here to answer, why is Brooklyn Immunotherapeutics short squeezing right now? The first thing you should consider is that they only have a 37 million share float. That is a very small float, especially when you consider the high interest in this stock. Next, consider that 30% of these shares were sold short by April 20th, 2021. And this is a sizable short interest on any stock and would make this a candidate for a squeeze if enough calls and longs jumped into it. Okay, so now we have a small float and a large short interest. All we need is a banger of a catalyst. Well, they announced the reverse merger January 19th, and I'm showing here on the chart just before the merger and onward. You can see that on IPO day there was a sizable interest in the stock. You can also see that there was a sizable short interest shown by the large wick on the candle. There was a gamma squeeze followed by a heavy short interest on 127 and 128. After a few more days of accumulating small gains, BTX was shorted down to 359 on basically zero volume. There were probably a lot of retail investor bag holders after the gamma squeeze, which meant that there was an artificially low float because of all of these locked up shares. Then on April 6th, the party started. BTX gapped up on news of a new prestigious CEO. This wild ride has squeezed 20x in about as many days. It has been super fun to watch Brooklyn Immunotherapeutics over the last couple weeks. It has been a super wild ride. For a few days, it was gapping up, 50% day over day. It was the top stock in the market for several days of the last 2 weeks. And I just want everybody to realize that this is not GameStop. It's not going to hold forever. This is not much more than just a wild ride. They do not have a deep pipeline. They do not have sufficient catalysts upcoming in the near future. So make sure you're setting your stop losses. If you can trade like on Webull in the after hours, make sure that you're paying attention. You get in, you get out, get some profit. Seems like a lot of people can make a lot of money. I personally had 3 successful trades on Friday the 30th. I used a little bit of technical analysis, had a little bit of luck, and I walked away with about 25% profit overall on those 3 trades. I'd like to highlight one of them in just a moment for you. So I'm back here on Webull looking at the one-day chart. You can see that BTX has not squeezed every day. The real action started on April 9th. With the third green candle on the MACD and the first on the one-day chart, BTX gained over 50% day over day for 2 days. Then it cooled off a bit on day 3. You can see the cooling off in the RSI for 1 day, and then next it trends upwards, and even through the next few candles, there are all signs pointing to ignition. Green MACD, rising RSI, higher highs, higher lows. Early in this squeeze, we would see 2 days of rise and 1 day of cool off. The later stages of this thing look to me more like there's 1 day up and 1 day about flat. So I use these signals plus a catalyst dropped at around pre-market open to determine that 4:30 would be the day that I would enter a position, set some stop losses just in case. If it rose significantly, I would take my profits that day. I was not going to bag hold this thing as the volatility is way too steep for my taste, with too little fundamentals to back up the actual company. Looking at the chart pattern for the day for about an hour, I noticed every time it rose significantly, it would cool off for just a few dollars, allowing the RSI to mellow out before taking off again. It looked to me like there was about support at the 41.25 mark, but I wasn't convinced it wasn't going to go a bit lower before legging up again. So I set my buy below that at about 41.12 and my stop loss at 39.50, the approximate range of support from the last bull run on the 1 minute chart. I waited a bit until I noticed I was in the money on the position and moved my stop loss into the green. This way I knew I would not be holding a bag if something went wrong. I noticed that on average it would gap up about 25 to 50% on the daily chart. I also knew that the longer I held the position, the more likely it was that this thing was going to lose steam in the middle of the day and I could be caught holding a bag, and that I'm not likely going to be able to time this thing perfectly. So I set my take order profit on the lower end of my estimate at 52.25. My order executed to sell about an hour later, 21% profit on this trade. Well, if history tells us anything after the short squeeze is over, this thing is going to tank. It is possible there will be bag holder support at some level for some time, but the timeline for this company's catalysts are somewhat far out in my opinion. This stock is simply not going to stay in this range for too long. Keep in mind that GameStop is at least a Fortune 500 company. Bluebird, a gene therapy and editing company who recently had their second drug approved in the US. Additionally, they have a deep drug discovery pipeline with huge research staff, tons of big partnership deals, and their own in-house manufacturing capabilities with worldwide distribution and business development teams. Bluebird has been beaten down badly on some bad press, which has been since recently cleared up, but Bluebird is currently trading with a market cap of about $2 billion. Well, guess what? Brooklyn Immunotherapeutics also has about a $2 billion market cap as of recording. Make some money on this play, but do not hold it long. Thank you so much for watching this video today, guys. If you found some value in this content, please consider giving it a like. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. My name is Michael.
And I'm Shane. We are the Trending Traders, here for you and here for growth. If you have anything you'd like to add in the comments below, we'd love to hear from you. And thank you again for stopping by our channel.